Hello and welcome to the 25th anniversary celebration of Monmouth County's Archives and History Day. I'm Monmouth County Clerk Christine Hamlin, and I invite you to join me for this 25th annual Monmouth County Clerks Archives and History Day in a video format due to the COVID-19 health crisis. In keeping with the spirit of our annual event, we will highlight some of the many participants who would traditionally showcase their historical organizations and exhibits in person, will present our annual awards, and will showcase the theme of this year's event. The 2020 Archives and History Day theme is a special one, as we celebrate the many local historians who have contributed to the preservation of Monmouth County's history and who were profiled in the book Preserve and Protect, which I published this year along with my co-author Rick Gefkin. This video will also celebrate and commemorate the wonderful 25-year history of the Monmouth County Archives and History Day. The first Monmouth County Archives Day took place in October of 1996 and was hosted and organized by the Monmouth County Archives Division of the County Clerk's Office, led by archivist Gary Soretsky, and with the cooperation of the New Jersey Caucus of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Archives Conference and the Monmouth County Library. The goal of the event was to showcase the relatively new County Archives facility and its mission, and to highlight the important work of historians and organizations in preserving Monmouth County's unique and significant history. The first Archives Day was open to the public and featured videos, lectures, and exhibits by local historians. The event committee for this event included archivist Gary Soretsky, Elsalyn Palmisano, Lois Densky-Wolf, Lee Ellen Griffith, Marianne Kiernan, Frederick Pachman, Jim Raleigh, Carla Tobias, and Bob Stewart.
In 1995, the Regional Professional Association of Archivists, called MARAC, designated the second week in October as Archives Week in New Jersey. Discussions among MARAC members eventually led to an idea that an event would be held in Monmouth, and our county clerk, Jane Clayton, approved of the idea, and so we began planning the event. And I used the assistance of the archive staff for the exhibits. I had many collaborators, and at the events there were other people who helped, volunteers, so there were many different people who helped. It helped draw attention to the Monmouth County Archives as a resource for historians. Second, because we got more than 200 people a year coming to the event with an interest in Monmouth County history. They formed relationships among each other, they networked, and they retained those relationships during the year. So I think it definitely helped develop an interest in Monmouth County history, and I'm sure resulted in some wonderful products by individuals who attended or their organizations.
Building upon the great success of the day, the event has occurred every year after that during the month of October to raise awareness of the importance of preserving our history. The name of the event changed from Archives Day to Archives and History Day 3 years later in 1999. Over the years, the event was broadened to include the ever-popular New Jersey History Game and featured various historical impersonators, from Benjamin Franklin to Molly Pitcher to President Ulysses S. Grant. The events also featured special learning sessions and forums on various topics, such as preserving family papers, preserving photographs, book repair, and other related genres. In recent years, contests for high school students have been added to the awards portion of the event in an effort to encourage young people to take an interest in preserving our history. Archives and History Day has grown to include over 80 exhibit tables showcasing historical organizations from Monmouth County and the state of New Jersey, with over 300 attendees.
I can tell you that I've probably been going for 10 years, and every year it seems like the space is a little bit more cramped, which is good because that means more societies and historic groups are there.
Well, I always liked when they spoke about the Revolutionary War, which is my area of study. Also, lectures that they had. Michael Ottoberg is one I remember in particular.
Among the historians, I think perhaps my favorite was Melissa Zobro, who gave a talk on the history of Fort Monmouth.
Molly Pitcher, and I know Stacy Roth does a wonderful job portraying. But that was quite a gripping program.
Among the performers, I think my favorite was Joe Becton, who is a Civil War and Revolutionary War reenactor and is a musician as well, and he was very entertaining.
So I can tell you from personal experience, because I'm out like a lot of the folks out doing lectures and writing and researching, that almost invariably every year I'll meet somebody at one of the tables or one of the speaking events that will give me a hint or a clue or, oh, by the way, have you thought of this? So in this community, we pretty much all know each other, but we don't get together as often as we'd like. And suddenly one day, usually every October, we're all there and we can trade notes and make future meetings and talk about our common researches, and just a terrific idea.
Over the past 25 years, Archives and History Day has provided a wonderful opportunity for local organizations to showcase their work and educate the public about their preserved history. Archives Day has also become a prominent event for the public to connect with archivists, historians, and preservationists from across the state.
So one of the great things about Archives Day over the last couple of decades is that it brings so many people together with the common interest in history and heritage of Monmouth County.
Many of the organizations are volunteers, are totally wrapped up in their own organizations, or have a vision that ends at the municipal line. But this is one day where we can see what one another is doing, learn from one another, and even see what's going on outside our own great county.
We collaborate and share our efforts, and we learn from one another, not just in presenting the history, but organizing and how to manage individual organizations.
At the first event, we had 5 rooms, and attendees could choose which session they wanted to go to. And there was one room that had about 20 tables for exhibitors. And as the time went on, in future years, we had more and more exhibitors until we moved the programs to the week before or after Archives Day.
In the year 2000, archivist Gary Soretsky began the now long-standing tradition of featuring a theme for the event, which included a painstakingly created exhibit and accompanying catalog. Since then, the annual exhibits and catalogs have consisted of written captions by Soretsky and current and former employees of the county clerk's office, and many volunteers over the years, including county historian Randall Gabriellan, Monmouth University professor Melissa Zobro, historian Karen Schnitzman, and more. The exhibits and catalogs also included reproductions of fascinating historical documents, many of which are housed in the county archives.
But these catalogs have become keepers in their own right. And I'm sure that most people interested in this history, like I, have saved them because they're future reference works. They highlight what's in the archives so that if you're interested in the topic that appears in the brochure or the catalog, you can certainly find those original documents in our archives.
Archives and History Day has grown over the years by magnifying the exhibition and the catalog, which have grown to outstanding depictions in print with vivid photographs that create permanent mementos of the event. As a writer, I value the printed word, and I am pleased to have contributed to these catalogs, and I value the completed works in my library. They are fine reference sources.
From murders in Monmouth to the Great Depression to prominent Monmouth County women, the theme of the day was not only the foundation for the exhibit and catalog, but created the backdrop for the speakers and seminars that occurred during the week and the day of the event. These beautiful and interesting catalogs can be viewed on the Monmouth County Clerk's website at monmouthcountyclerk.com/archives. In 1997, the award presentation segment of Archives and History Day was added to honor our local leaders in historic preservation and in other related topics. Upon the retirement of then County Clerk and former freeholder Jane Clayton, who was responsible for creating the County Archives Division, an award was created in her name to honor an individual who has made significant contributions to the awareness and preservation of Monmouth County history. With the exception of the year 1999, the Jane G. Clayton Award has been presented annually since 1997. The most recent award was added in 2015 after the retirement of my predecessor, M. Claire French, who served as county clerk for 18 years and oversaw the modernization of the clerk's office and the digitization of many county historical records. An award was created in her name that recognizes the outstanding achievements of a public servant or civic organization for their leadership in historic preservation. Other awards given out over the years on Archives and History Day included the Barbara Carver Smith Award, presented by the Monmouth County Genealogy Society, the Innovative Archives Award from the Mid-Atlantic Regional Archives Conference, New Jersey Caucus, the New Jersey Studies Academic Alliance Author Award, and the Roger McDonough Librarianship Award.
I've reached the point where I get as much satisfaction as from helping others as from my own accomplishments, and I've had a couple at Archives Day, but I've nominated several honorees for the Clayton Award, and seeing them get their award is one of the most gratifying aspects of Archives Day for me.
There are so many people to thank for organizing the Archives and History Day event year after year, from the library staff members to the Archives Division employees and so many volunteers. It's really a team effort that has made the event such a success.
You know, I have to say that although it's always a team effort, that what Gary Soretsky did just stuck out.
He brought us all together. He's such a low-key individual. I think he allowed us all to shine and do the best that we could on that special day.
And you know, now that he's retired, those are big shoes to fill.
I think it turned out much better than I expected. My initial thought was that we would get a group of archivists and the public would come and they would interact with these archivists and learn about archives. But very early on, we reformulated the event to include historians. The result of that was that we ended up with getting many more historians than archivists, but even though that wasn't what I initially intended, I think it was delightful, and I couldn't be happier with the way it all turned out.
So I think the interchange of ideas and that camaraderie that we all share of love of history and heritage in Monmouth County is just invaluable, and that day is something we all look forward to every year. As we know this year with the pandemic delay, people miss it, so I'm sure it'll come back bigger and stronger than ever.
Each year, Archives and History Day has taken place at the Monmouth County Library headquarters in Manalapan. The Library Commission has been a true partner in the planning of the event, providing the space and helping with setup and support. This event could not have been accomplished year after year without them.
The theme for the 25th Annual Archives and History Day is a celebration of the many local historians who have made significant contributions to the preservation of Monmouth County's rich and unique history. The book, To Preserve and Protect, was written and published by County Clerk Christine Hanlon and co-author and local historian Rick Gefkin.
This book, To Preserve and Protect, was so important to do, to highlight those people who spent significant periods of time documenting our history.
Although the authors that we list in the book are fairly well known, as are most of their primary works, we didn't know a lot about them. And by the nature of what they wrote, they're part of Monmouth County history. We picked out roughly 50 people, some that have passed and some that are contemporary, and we hope we did a good job for everyone.
Without dedicated individuals committed to documenting the story of Monmouth County, we would not have such a deep understanding of its rich history. We owe them a debt of gratitude to these many individuals who dedicated themselves to preserving and protecting Monmouth County's history. Because of their significant research, writing, photography, documentaries, and so much more, the people who have continued to tell our story are recognized and celebrated in this book.
Well, I was just so proud to be part of it. I know my own research on the Revolutionary War in particular is informed by some of these past historians who I respect so much. So without their preliminary research, much of what I currently look towards today would not be possible.
We hope that this book will encourage others now and in the future to work toward preserving our proud Monmouth County heritage. Our local historical organizations are the backbone of Archives and History Day. This year, we showcase some of the many historical organizations who would have participated in our 2020 Archives and History Day had we had the event in person.
The Belmar Historical Society and History Room is located at 900 East Street in Belmar in the annex of the historic Union Firehouse, which is an over 100-year-old, still working firehouse. The photos you see here are an introduction to what visitors at the museum will experience. They primarily depict the early settlement of the town, which will celebrate its sesquicentennial in the year 2022. Eatontown is celebrating its 350th anniversary this year. From a farming community to a flourishing community, Eatontown's history began with a man named Thomas Eaton and his mill. In 1760, Eaton and his wife settled a few miles south of Shrewsbury, where they built a home and a grist mill on the south bank of Mill Pond. Located between farms in Freehold and iron mines in Tinton Falls, the mill was a sound investment and the start of Eatontown's importance as a commercial hub for Monmouth County. The mill was then expanded, replaced, inherited, and sold numerous times until it came into the possession of Charles and Joseph Richmond. Richmond's mill survived long into the industrial age, grinding tons of rye and corn for feed until it was closed in 1915. After fire damage and war effort usage, it sat unused for over a decade until it was torn down and the pond was returned to its former status as a small stream. In 1931, the borough acquired the property, built the present-day dam, and created an existing memorial park. In 1969, a millstone was brought from the deserted village of Allaire to mark the place where Eaton's mill once stood. Founded in 2006, the Jewish Heritage Museum of Monmouth County honors the community's Jewish past through exhibits, research, archives, and by collecting information and stories. It fulfills its mission to connect Jews to their heritage and to share that heritage with the community at large by presenting exhibits, programs, and publications that celebrate, preserve, explore, and illustrate the rich and unique history and contributions of the Jewish residents of Monmouth County and its surrounding vicinity. The Monmouth Furnace Baseball Club is the Jersey Shore's entry into the Middle Atlantic Vintage Baseball Association. They play against teams from around the Northeast using the rules, equipment, uniforms, and customs of 1864. The teams pay homage to 19th century baseball history in the Shore area. This includes the Brooklyn Bridegrooms and New York Giants spring training visits, historic matches between Long Branch hotels, and early baseball magnates such as Albert Spalding, co-founder of Spalding Sporting Goods, who called the Shore home. Their games support local historic sites and causes and seek to promote Jersey Shore history and culture when on the road. The Monmouth Furnace presents a great way to enjoy and learn both American and baseball history and culture. 2020 marks a special anniversary for the National Guard Militia Museum on the National Guard Training Center, the 40th year of operation. As the museum anticipates opening up a new building in 2021, they look back to appreciate the efforts of their original founders. This small collection of photos dates back to the initial launch in Seagirt in 1980. Growing from a weekend passion by dedicated guardsmen, the museum has grown to an organization that welcomes a few thousand visitors throughout the calendar year. We are grateful for the efforts of Chief Warrant Officer Edward Geiger, Lieutenant Colonel Gary Beauregard, and Colonel Harold Nutt, among countless others, who made it their passion to preserve and explain the military heritage of the New Jersey National Guard. Established in 2012, the Parker Homestead 1665 Incorporated located in Little Silver, preserves the unique 330-year history of the Parker family through restoration and maintenance. Recently, the home underwent some major restoration with exterior painting and repairing completed by JP Interiors. Until we can have everyone back at the homestead, we're creating virtual content on our Facebook, Instagram, and website for everyone to enjoy in the safety of their own homes. We look forward to welcoming everyone back at the homestead in May 2021. In the late 70s, Rutgers University preservation librarian Susan Garretson Swartzberg began inviting local professionals to hear presentations from her graduate students. The popular meetings soon led to the formation of PPG, with Swartzberg as the first president. Local librarians, archivists, conservators, and other professionals began speaking to PPG, with the first formal meeting at Rider College Library in 1983. After about a year at Rider, from 1994 to 1999, PPG met at Educational Testing Service and has since met several times per year in various locations in the state. Topics include preservation of all types of cultural material, such as books, manuscripts, photographs, gravestones, historic buildings, videotapes, maps, textiles, and furniture, as well as more general topics like preservation environment, museum lighting, mold and detection remediation, and disaster planning and response. Gary Soretsky, one of the original PPG members and an officer since 1990, has been the president since 2005.
The Shrewsbury Historical Society is open Thursdays and Saturdays. Call 732-530-7974. We're at Route 35 and Sycamore Avenue in Shrewsbury.
Although it's a distinctively rare musical instrument, this piano does not possess a large monetary value. However, its internal strings are tightly wound throughout the halls of the Crawford House in Tinton Falls, as its residents and visitors routinely heard Ruth Crawford plucking away at its keyboard. The local tax collector for Tinton Falls, during a time when paying one's taxes wasn't so painful, as well as a local butcher, Ruth and her husband Alan purchased a Vaux changeable pitch piano in the early 20th century. They placed it in the very spot it can be found today, on the first floor of their home at 750 Tinton Avenue in Tinton Falls. What makes this piano unique is the player's ability to change pitch without retuning its strings. To fully return the piano to its original state, the Crawford House is currently engaged in a fundraising drive to finance a much-needed restoration. Please feel free to check back with us to view its progression and possibly make your own contribution to restoring the heartwarming sounds once heard distinctively within the Crawford House. Preserving history in Ocean Township. In 2005, the Eden Woolley House was slated for demolition. It was then moved to 703 Deal Road in Oakhurst, and in 2009, it was opened as the Township of Ocean Historical Museum. The museum is currently open every Sunday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
During this COVID-19 period, the Ukrainian History and Education Center invites you to participate in our online programming on history and genealogy, folk art, and virtual tours from our collections.
In recent years, the William Trent House in Trenton has reevaluated its interpretation. Posters, mannequins, and touchable objects are now used to give visitors a more complete representation of the early 1700s and to bring that era to life. Trent's probate inventory listed 11 enslaved people. They interpret the first man, Yaft, as Trent's butler and valet, and the only adult woman, Joan, as his cook. These people are represented by mannequins dressed in clothing appropriate to their likely positions and by personal items each might have had. The Trent House recently created 2 new exhibits: the diet of the elite in the 18th century, which is juxtaposed with the diet of enslaved people. Both explore the variety of food available to each class, as well as caloric intake and nutritional differences, as well as foods that they may have supplemented on their own. Trent House interpretation tables are also available and include fascinating everyday items that can be handled by visitors. At the William Trent House, we don't just preserve history, we discover it. The World War II Era Institute is dedicated to preserving and sharing the experiences of World War II, the most significant event of the 20th century. As an open resource to all interested parties and individuals, the Institute offers programs that illuminate and educate the community about key events of World War II and the political and military leaders of the time, while never forgetting those who served on the battlefield and the home front. The Institute offers presentations for organizations, clubs, and school audiences, seminars conducted by subject matter experts, guided educational tours of domestic and foreign battlefields, and knowledgeable guest speakers for both public and private events. Ultimately, the mission of the Institute is to use the lessons learned from the war to help current and future generations avoid yet another global conflict.
Our 2020 Archives and History Day award presentations will begin with the Jane G. Clayton Award, which honors an individual who over a substantial number of years has made exceptional contributions to the understanding and preservation of Monmouth County's history. This year, the winner of the Jane G. Clayton Award is Alice Wyckoff of Allentown. I'm so excited to be here today to present the Jane G. Clayton Award to Alice Wyckoff of Allentown. Alice Wyckoff is a dedicated and outstanding town historian who embodies all of the aspects of the Jane G. Clayton Award because of her commitment to historic preservation and her efforts to protect the rich history of Allentown and beyond. Over the years, Alice Wyckoff has gone to great lengths to maintain and preserve architecture, streetscapes, parks, signage, or any other need warranting attention. In addition, for decades, she has diligently researched and assembled Allentown's history in over 20 three-ring binders, and these include hand-drawn illustrations, historic photographs, and other artwork depicting Allentown's history, and these binders are a treasure for generations to come. We owe Alice a huge debt of gratitude for her unparalleled efforts in protecting the historic fabric of this town over so many years. Her work will continue to give so much to the community for all to enjoy and appreciate.
I accept this award with pride. Sometimes I don't think all the credit should go to me because my family on both sides, my roots go all the way back to the beginning of Allentown. And my family always thought the world revolved around Allentown. And as a kid, growing up here was a privilege. And we have cherished every minute of being a part of Allentown. We were one big happy family, and this mill pond and the mill and Heritage Park and the mill house was my playground. So with pleasure, I accept your award.
Awarded for the first time at the 2015 Archives and History Day, the M. Claire French Award for Leadership in Historic Preservation recognizes outstanding achievements of an elected official, government employee, public servant, or civic organization in supporting historic preservation in Monmouth County through education, rehabilitation, advocacy, community leadership, or other means. The winner of the 2020 M. Claire French Award is the Parker Homestead 1665 trustees. I'm very excited to be here today at this wonderful historic site to present the M. Claire French Award to the Parker Homestead trustees. The Parker Homestead 1665 is a 501c3 charitable organization created and managed entirely by volunteers for the express purpose of restoring the historic Parker Homestead to make it accessible to the public. The efforts of the board included seeking grants to fund renovations, organizing fundraisers, working with other historic organizations, and pursuing historically correct renovations so that this site can be turned into what's been called a living classroom, where students, children's groups, civic organizations, history buffs, and visitors can learn its history and enjoy it. It is truly a great accomplishment, and we thank the Parker Homestead trustees and all the volunteers for their dedication, commitment, and enormous efforts in seeing this process to its completion.
The Parker family lives on and will continue to live on because of the work of all the volunteers. Every one of you, when I've spoken to you, has talked about other people, not about themselves, because it truly is a volunteer effort. So you're keeping history alive, as our clerk said, not just for today, but for the future. It's a gift to future generations. May we succeed in all that you have done in the future, and you've inspired generations to come. So God bless all here.
When I got the call saying we had been awarded this incredibly special award, I was just blown away. There are so many organizations and people in Monmouth County. We live in an amazing place, and I'm just absolutely thrilled that we as an organization have been able to add to that. I want to make it very, very clear, this is not a one-person show. Everybody and a lot of people that aren't here on stage have helped. It's remarkable how we're able to get done what we get done. The philosophy we take, we like to think that we're more than just a historic location, which we are. You know, arguably we're the oldest property in Monmouth County, but beyond that, our approach is to bring history and an appreciation of history to a younger generation. We especially enjoy working with the Scouts, with the schools. We have an association with Monmouth University where they've come over here for archaeological digs. They've come over here for master's level classes. I can just go on and on. I especially want to thank Mayor Neff and the Borough Council, everybody in the borough, the people in Borough Hall, the police department, the public works who keeps our property looking gorgeous, the schools, the Board of Education, and I want to encourage, this is not a little silver site, you know, this is for everybody. It's interesting, we're right here on Rumson Road. In the summer when we're able to be open, we have people stopping by from North Jersey all the time saying, I drive by here on the way to the beach and wondered what it was. So anyway, thank you very much, and thank everybody.
This is the M. Claire French Award, and it's been in this shape since we started the award back in 2015. You're the 5th recipient, and on the bowl is an etching of one of our historic sites here in Monmouth County that kind of became the symbol of the award. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the New Jersey Studies Academic Alliance, the New Jersey Historical Commission, the Mid-Atlantic Regional Archives Conference New Jersey Caucus, and the New Jersey Library Association History and Preservation Section, we are pleased to announce Deborah Mercer as the winner of the 2020 Roger H. McDonough Librarianship Award for Excellence in Service to the New Jersey history research community and the general public. As the New Jersey Collections Librarian at the New Jersey State Library since 2002, Deborah Mercer has expanded access to historic New Jersey documents, rare books, maps, and Jerseyana resources for public researchers and state government officials. As her nomination noted, Deborah creates opportunities to make history more accessible to others, not just through the collection management and digitization work she does, but through programs, displays, and participation in statewide organization. She seeks ways to broaden appreciation for the rich history New Jersey offers its citizens. Mercer also provides her expertise and dedication to the New Jersey Historical Commission, New Jersey Studies Academic Alliance, New Jersey Library Association, and Documents Association of New Jersey. For all these reasons, we are honored to present her with the 2020 Roger H. McDonough Award. Congratulations, Deborah Mercer. The New Jersey Studies Academic Alliance is delighted to present its 2020 Maxine Lurie Award to Ronald Becker. This award recognizes a New Jersey Studies Academic Alliance member who has had a career of outstanding achievement in the field of New Jersey studies. In a career beginning in 1974, Ron Becker demonstrated outstanding leadership and commitment to New Jersey history, libraries, and archives. As head of Rutgers Special Collections and University Archives from 1991 to 2016, Ron exerted a lasting influence on New Jersey scholarship and bibliography. Ron promoted New Jersey studies by welcoming and encouraging all types of scholars, from aspiring researchers to retirees, from undergraduates to postdocs, from fourth graders to visiting Harvard professors. Ron's tireless efforts included fundraising, presenting programs, writing articles, editing the Mid-Atlantic Archivist, reviewing grants, judging National History Day presentations, and serving on countless committees and editorial boards, all in the service of New Jersey studies. As a founding member of the New Jersey Studies Academic Alliance, Ron has been a constant advocate for our group. He provided a central meeting place where parking passes, hot coffee, and warm fellowship were guaranteed. Congratulations, Ron Becker. The Monmouth County Genealogy Society is pleased to present the 2020 Barbara Carver Smith Distinguished Service Award to Gary D. Soretsky. Many of us know Gary from his tenure as the Monmouth County Archivist from 1994 until his retirement in the fall of 2019. Gary and his staff hosted Archives Day and numerous exhibitions, created databases and name indexes to assist with research, especially genealogy research, which resulted in nearly 300 web pages. While the primary role of the archives is to manage the county documents, the focus on historical and genealogical records are what makes the Monmouth County Archives Division special. Upon graduation from the University of Wisconsin, Gary found a position of archivist in training at the State Historical Society of Wisconsin while continuing his master's in American history. In 1969, he joined Educational Testing Service in Princeton as their first archivist, remaining there for 25 years before joining the Monmouth County Clerk's Archives Division. Gary coordinated the Public History Internship Program for the Rutgers History Department from 1993 to 2016, which placed 800 undergraduate history majors in various historical locations throughout the state. Gary also taught photography and the history of photography at Mercer Community College from 1977 to 2012. Gary continues to lecture on photography as part of the New Jersey Council for the Humanities Public Scholars Project. Gary has developed a database of over 3,000 pre-1900 photographs, which is available at his website, soretsky.com. Gary is also a photographer with numerous exhibits, including a retrospective at Rider University Art Gallery. The Blues Archives at University of Mississippi has a collection of his blues photographs. He is a member as a photographer of the New Jersey chapter of the Blues Hall of Fame. Gary is a self-published author of 2 books on blues photography. Gary is also a past member of the New Jersey State Historical Records Advisory Board and served as chair of the Business Archive section of the Society of American Archivists and the New Jersey caucus of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Archives Conference. Now, one might expect that Gary is quietly enjoying his retirement, but he continues to photograph, write, and maintains his online bookstore. He remains active in organizations related to archives, history, and conservation of historic material. Congratulations, Gary Saretsky. I hope you enjoyed this virtual Archives and History Day and our celebration of the 25th anniversary of the event. I thank all of the many individuals and organizations who have planned or participated in this wonderful day and week over the years. And I look forward to continuing on this tradition in the years to come. Thank you for watching.